Hello. I'm listening to some Mongolian Mongolian music, doing a little bit of Mongolian throat singing. I'm not sure if during the stream if I want to be doing a draw like I've been working on this commission. And this is actually the first lo-fi animation commission I'm doing. So if you've ever seen like those ambient videos that you just play in the background of um, I don't know, just like this chill lo-fi music, and there's just like these cute little characters just like sleeping peacefully, or maybe like the rain is falling. I'm making something like that, and the Northern Lights are actually going to be animated, and this character is going to be like breathing, and you can see like her cold breath just like coming out. So this is what I've been working on for the past couple of days. I actually really struggled with this because for some reason, like it's kind of hard for me to draw like snowy forest at a distance, or at least drawing like a landscape like this. I don't know why, but like this one was super hard for me, which is crazy because it's just like it's a very like a monotone illustration. Like there's not a lot of colors going on besides just like different shades of blue. So I don't know why it was like kind of hard for me, but I'm really happy with how I got it to look. I had to redraw these trees in the corner so many different times. Like there's actually probably like 7 different layers of trees that I experimented with, and I ended up hating almost all of them. And this is the ones that I finally settled on. But I also was thinking like, do I want to add like a tree here? Do I want to add like some trees on this side? And then I really like the way these trees look, but I don't know if it would be like too much going on because I do want the Northern Lights to be animated, and I don't want to hide too much of them because that's definitely the most interesting part of this piece. So I might try to. Are the comments on, by the way? Are you guys able to comment? Because I'm not seeing any. I was wondering if I accidentally, like, I messed with my settings a little bit before this. I'm wondering if I accidentally turned off my comments. Look to live chat. Okay, I see. Okay, cool. Looks like it's working. Sweet. Um, I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing the line work during this commission or if I'm just going to be doing like general Q&A. My line work is a little rough, or my sketch layer is a little bit rough right now, and I definitely need to fix up these paws, and I might want to work on the body just a little bit because she looks. I have a good idea of like how I should make her look, but I'm seeing some flaws that definitely need to be fixed up. So if I do end up doing that, let me. That's not the right one. Here we go. I think I will mess with it a little bit. Got my Mongolian music in the background. Let me start it over. So a helpful tip, like when you're trying to correct something, or even like if you're doing the line work, I find that it's really helpful if you turn your opacity like way down. Like if you've ever had the issue of like you think your sketches look better than your actual line art, it's probably because when you go to do your line art, if you have the opacity like above 20%, it hides a lot of the flaws in your line work, and it can kind of fool your eyes So a way to fix if your sketches look better than your line art is to turn down the opacity less than 10%. I like to do it like 6 or 7% when I'm drawing on top, if that makes sense. I found that that's been really helpful in fixing that problem in my artwork. And I'm still just like messing with another sketch layer because I need to fix her paws. Am I having a good pause day or a bad pause day? We're going to find out. Sometimes when I stream, my paws are like atrocious, and then sometimes they look all right. Flower Wolf says, I do that a lot, but mine is usually 20% and below. 20% for me is like that's almost too high. I like to be able to like barely be able to see it. But if it works, it works. Still can't help but think those paws need to be fixed a little bit. I know it's 4th of July, so if you're in America, it's kind of crazy right now. I can hear like non-stop fireworks in the background. I do not like fireworks. I think they're a little obnoxious. But that's just me. Don't let me drain your fun if you like them. And thank you, Jackson. Appreciate you. Probably have to put my phone down for just a minute because I gotta take off my hoodie. All right. And Flower says, makes sense. I would do it lower, but I sketch with red and blue color pencils, which on my phone camera appears very light. Oh. Okay. Well, that makes sense. If you're using different colors, I can see how that would like help your actual line art to stand out a lot more. I guess in my head, I just think that like because I do black line art or black sketches and black line art, I feel like everyone does that. But that definitely makes sense if you're doing it that way. And then Jackson says, if I can ask, what gave you the idea for Wolves of Avalon? So there wasn't any particular thing. Like I can't point to one specific movie or game or anything that would be like, this is the inspiration. Um, it started as me and my best friend would literally just go out in the woods, like when we were like 9, 10 years old, and we would go play wolves. And Mackenzie, or you guys know her as Autumn, she is the other creator of Avalon. She's also like my best friend who would literally, we would go out like as children, we would go play in the woods and we would go play wolves. But we didn't call it playing wolves. We called it wolf reality because we were we were ashamed to admit that we were children playing. So when we would go out and play, I was always like the black wolf, and she was like the white wolf. And in the little universe that we played in, it took place in an Ice Age setting because I like the idea of wolves hunting woolly mammoths and woolly rhinos, and there being like saber-toothed tiger alliances with the wolf packs. And it was just like, it was a little kid's dream of, you have the wolves, you got the saber-toothed tigers, and then the wolves have magical powers like Avatar The Last Airbender, because Avatar was like super, super big when I was a kid, and I remember being like obsessed with it. So that was kind of like the base idea of Avalon. And there's definitely been a lot of other things that have inspired me to do different specific things for Avalon, but there was not any source media that was like, oh, yes, this made me want to do Avalon. Like, I kind of just, uh, I just really got into wolves, and then I always have been really drawn to dinosaurs and saber-tooth tigers and like other prehistoric animals. Like I am like a grade A dinosaur kid, so I wanted some way to incorporate all those prehistoric elements, because I really just I love the scale of having such large animals walk side by side with these characters. I just think it makes it so much more interesting. Like, we can have wolves that hunt reindeer and elk, but they can also hunt all these other different animals that we don't get to see anymore. And it's really like from a storytelling perspective, it's also very interesting to uh holy cow, sounds like war outside, but it's just America on the 4th of July. But it's also like a really interesting story building element to say like what type of hunting strategies do different packs have to develop to hunt different types of prey, because in the wild and the in the setting we have now, wolves are really only hunting like a few types of animals, like reindeer, musk oxen, bison, and there's a couple other, but like we don't really have any wolves hunting anything much bigger than a bison. So it's kind of really fun to play with the idea of how would a wolf somewhat reasonably hunt these animals, which I know like in real life, like you're probably not going to have any wolves, not even like in the Ice Age period when they were around. You're probably not going to have them hunting mammoths. Anyway, sorry, that was a really long tangent. And if you hear like little pattering in the background, it's because I have like baby kittens and they are just like having a blast right now. So that's what that is. And then how can you draw that? Oh, so for this illustration, I actually did the background illustration, and then my friend Autumn, she drew the wolves. So it's very much a collaborative project where she does a lot of backgrounds, and then I do a lot of... Oh, no, excuse me. I do the background. She does the wolves. Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. And anyone who's popping in here, if you have any questions about Avalon, like you want to know more about the world building or the different wolf packs, the species, feel free to ask if there's something that catches your interest. I am in the process of making a lot more world building videos about Avalon. My videos are much longer now, so I do have to spend a lot more time like actually editing my timeline. But right now, I'm so excited. Me and my friend Eggsy are actually making a mockumentary about the marine animals of Avalon. And it's going to be really fun because like I've never really taken a lot of time to talk explicitly just about the prey animals in Avalon, but I think this is going to shed a lot of light on different cultures of Avalon and how the marine biology of Avalon affects their medicine, the meat, the illegal trade in Avalon, because, well, you guys will find out about that soon. But I'm really excited for that. And Issa, hey Issa, she says, I love imagining earth species and frost using spears made of stone and ice to hunt. Oh, or driving them off a cliff and collapsing it from under them. Oh, yeah. That's also the really cool thing about having wolves with elemental powers is you can really play with how they would use their powers in a hunt. Now, that's kind of the thing with like this story is like I like animals the way they actually act in nature, but part of the fantasy aspect is how do we incorporate I guess magic and some of the unrealistic things. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because I'm watching baby kittens scamper frantically and I completely lost my train of thought. Gosh, they're so cute. And then Flower says, that's why I really enjoy Avalon as a whole. The thought of wolves being in a prehistoric setting with elemental powers is just very cool. My favorite species is 100% the sirens. Yeah. The sirens are... I don't know if I can say that I have a favorite species, but I definitely created the sirens for my own love of the ocean and the water, and just I could honestly go on a really long tangent about sirens right now because I've been doing so much. I've been working on them all day for this video that's upcoming. So yeah, but sirens, they are really cool. I'll pull up a picture of the water species real quick. Also, let me pull up a picture of. There we go. So kind of like to encapsulate the setting of wolves and dinosaurs. Why do you think, Sky, what do you think would be common accessories or carry daily items for southern-side she-wolf? It really depends on the billet. And when I say billet, I just mean what job does the wolf have. In Avalon, there are 4 classes of jobs or 4 classes of billets, and that is hunting, warrior, medic, and spirit class. And within each of those categories, there are like individual jobs that have their own like niche responsibilities. So it really depends. Like if the she wolf is she is a sage, which is like a type of like doctor or like medical wolf, then she would probably carry some type of satchel for some common everyday herbs. Because sages, the wolf packs will annoy the crap out of their sage because that's like their doctor. Like you got the sniffles, you have an infection, you have fleas, you're going to your sage. But say that wolf is like a hunter, they're probably not going to carry much on them if they're a hunter besides like, you know, if it's a she wolf, or if she like if she wants to wear accessories like jewelry or put like feathers in her fur, or I don't know, anything like that. Like it's really common for any wolf to just want to like accessorize or like, I don't know, put flowers or feathers in their fur. So like they could definitely do something like that. But when it comes to like hunting in particular, most wolves aren't carrying around any items, since they're either going to be hunting with their fangs or with their powers. Unless you're a siren, and actually I'm going to get into siren hunting, which sirens, they actually hunt the Leviathan. There will be a segment coming out on that on July, I want to say 29th, July 29th, I think is the release date of this siren hunting / marine biology of Avalon document. And Hal says, I'd love to know more about laws and high guards, more than what's in the server. Laws and high guards. Give me just a minute. I will pull up a relevant picture. If I can find a relevant picture. Well, my Wi-Fi is kind of crazy. So when we're talking about the laws of Avalon, we can take it way, way back and know that in Avalon, there was a time period in which there was no laws and they were uncivilized. And territories used to be constantly changing, where different packs would fight and they would invoke a genesis to take over other territories. And genesis, that is just like the Avalon word for colonization. And I can actually really get into that if you guys want me to. But there was a time in Avalon in which it was just war after war after war, and a lot of innocent wolves who really didn't even want to be part of the fighting, they were just caught in the crossfire of all the wars. And then the Alpha Council came, and there was a lot of events that actually led up to the creation of the Alpha Council, but when that came to be, that's when the laws were actually established in Avalon. And they weren't all figured out at once, but when that happened, there was 3 sets of laws that were established: nature laws, wolf laws, and pack laws. And nature laws, those are laws that apply to all animals of Avalon, meaning like the wolves, the saber-toothed tigers, and the frost leopards, because those are the 3 sapient species of Avalon. And then the next are wolf laws, which it's in the name. These laws apply to all of the wolf species in particular because the felines, they do have like their own cultural differences. Like they're not going to be some things that are taboo in wolf culture are not taboo in feline culture. So, like, the wolves have their own set of laws that apply just to them. And then there are pack laws, and pack laws are established by every single alpha, and those are bound to change depending on the leader, but not too much because every single pack does have their own culture. And most alphas will try to honor the established culture and the alpha that preceded them. So, uh, every single pack might have their own way of life and the way that they decide how wolves get billets or, what is the daily task of say, a scout or a flanker. That may differ pack to pack, but something that is the same for every single wolf pack of Avalon is if you're an alpha and you are invoking a law for your pack, that law cannot supersede? I don't know if that's the right word, but that law cannot go against wolf laws, and wolf laws cannot go against nature laws. So, like, it's kind of like, think of it like federal laws, state laws, and county laws. Like a little county, like in, I don't know, like North Carolina, for example. A county of North Carolina cannot say, they can't create a law that conflicts with state laws or conflicts with federal law. So it's the same in Avalon wolf packs. If an alpha is making up a rule for their pack, it cannot contradict with any of the preceding rules. So I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to pull up a picture of the high guard, but it looks like my internet's kind of jank right now. Let me scroll through my gallery real quick because I know. Here we go. This is actually a thumbnail for another video I made. You also asked about the high guard. So, okay, got to talk about the Alpha Council for a minute. What the Alpha Council is it's basically the governing body of Avalon, and it can be divided into two bodies. The Pack Committee, which are the wolves and the felines who are actually making decisions for Avalon and voting on issues. And then there are the operators, or the operations committee. And those are the group of wolves and felines that are actually executing the will of the council. So you have your wolves in legislation, and then you have your wolves who are actually like enforcing the laws. And that is like your Avalon police force and your game wardens and your silver stars and your ambassador and the alpha instructors. Those are the 5 branches of the operations department. And I'm actually in the process with Autumn. We are designing a actual symbol to represent the Alpha Council and the 2 branches. So that's something that's happening behind the scenes right now. But you asked specifically about the High Guard, and the High Guards, that is a branch in the Alpha Council. And something about like operators, which, like I said, that's like the police force of Avalon. They are enforcing the laws of Avalon. They do not live in packs. Like if you become an operator, you like relinquish your duties to your pack and you serve the council. High guards, they are literally like the little policemen of Avalon. If an alpha is suspected of breaking the law or doing something, I don't know, unlawful in their pack, or maybe even trying to, I don't know, it could really be anything. The high guards are actually going to be the wolves that would go and launch an investigation on the alphas, and they can actually lock a pack down. Like if they believe an alpha is like, I don't know, doing something super egregious, they can like kind of, I don't want to say like take control because like, oh man, it's really hard to explain without going on a super long tangent about some other world building things. But basically the high guard, they can, what is the word I'm looking for? They can basically take temporary stewardship over a pack and investigate the alpha. And they can also investigate the higher command of a pack if they suspect them of committing a crime. So that's kind of what they do. And the fun fact about the High Guard, that was actually the first that was the first organization that was actually established by the Alpha Council uh, after the council was created. So that was the very first like order of business, was creating a group of wolves to act as the police force of Avalon. So that is like the first official Alpha Council created organization. There are two other organizations that are actually older than the council, but those groups don't have roots in the council, and it's a long story. It's a long story. Let me see if I can find this picture of the High Guard because it's killing me. I want to show it while I talk about it. Well, probably can't show it. Whatever. I'll just stick with this picture of some wolves. I did not color this. I think my friend Ray colored this. Ray or Raven. But this is a base actually. Okay, let me read some of these comments now. Jackson said, if I may ask, what are some dinosaur species that exist in Avalon, but you haven't talked about them yet? You don't even know all the things I'm about to release. So, you know what? I'll go ahead and say it. It's fine. The roleplay channels are down on Discord, and I promise this is related to your question. And part of the reason why they're down is because I just realized that you guys just don't have enough information about like the territories and the different species of animals. So what I have been going through and doing, also in collaboration with Eggsy, which is one of the artists I hired to help with this project, I have been making species size charts of every single animal in Avalon, every dinosaur, every herd animal, every marine animal, all these significant ones. They now they have an official size chart for every single one, and also like what region every single one like lives in. It took me so long to make all these charts, but they exist now, and it's just a matter of putting them together. We're doing so much with the roleplay channels. I know we keep talking about it, and we haven't actually shown you guys, but that is why it has taken so long. Is because we have been making a master size chart of every single animal, the official names of all the dinosaurs, and all the official like fantasy based creatures. And in Avalon, there's a lot of like real life creatures like elk and reindeer and woolly mammoths, but there's also a lot of dinosaur esque creatures that are kind of like more like fantasy play on things, and all of that is about to get released like very soon, or at least the size charts for it. There's so many dinosaurs that like me and Eggsy. Eggsy is the artist who I actually hired to illustrate the dinosaurs of Avalon. We actually have like a backlog of a lot of different dinosaurs that she is going to be making for Avalon. It's just it takes a while because I pay her and I don't always have all the money, and then also she has her own life, and you can only draw so fast. So it's very much a long-term project, but I can say we have established names and established biology and animal behavior patterns that have been like actually written down as of now, and we're just finishing closing out these last couple things before that gets released. All that information is coming out super, super soon, and I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse by talking about any that haven't been like totally released yet, but it's coming so, so soon because the work is literally done. Like, all the size charts are done. Oh, and Issa, your question said, is there any new lore or info coming out about the sirens and their territories and flora and fauna for Drift Week? Oh my god, yes. Me and Exy were literally talking about it for almost 3 hours today. Yep. So during Drift Week, which, if you guys like Shark Week, like, Shark Week, watching the documentary about sharks and all that fun stuff on the Discovery Channel, we are running an event in Discord called Drift Week. And in Avalon, I'll pull it up real quick. In Avalon, the coastal territory, which is called the Adira Drift, that is home to so many different marine reptiles inside of or in Avalon. And during Shark Week, we are coming out with our own, you want to call it like a mockumentary about all those animals. And it's just me and Exy going over the biology, these animal behaviors, what they look like, official illustrations, and also like from a world building perspective, like what is the blah, 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 what is the importance of all these animals. And I'm sorry if I'm stumbling over my words a little bit. I I got really excited because me and Exie have been working so hard on fleshing out the dinosaurs and the marine reptiles. Like, I am like shaking. I'm so excited to finally release it because this has been like literally months and months and months of work. And it's sometimes frustrating because I know that people are like wondering, like, where is the artwork? Why isn't there anything out yet? And it's just like, I want to get it. Like, I'm such a perfectionist. I really don't want to release something before it's ready. And it is so close to being ready. And also, here, I pulled up the world map of Avalon. Here is the Adira Drift. This is the warm water coastal territory that I'm talking about right now. And here is like the overall map for Avalon. It's actually getting a little bit of an update right now because I changed the name of a couple territories. This is now Stag Hills, and Babylon has now been renamed to Cascadia. So... And then Coyote said, I just found you through your Shark Week video. I'm really liking your premise. Looking forward to the comic. Thank you. I appreciate that. And if you're hanging around here and you have any questions about Avalon or you want to know more about a particular thing, definitely feel free to ask. But it's not going to be a comic. It's going to be an actual like written novel. But there is also like lots of official artwork like on the Avalon social medias. And we're also coming out with a world building guide to Avalon in the form of a website. And we've been working on that actually for probably over 3 years now and gotten a lot done. So thank you. And these are also beautiful. I really like how detailed everything is. The backgrounds are amazing. Thank you. And also this one is, this is a base, but these aren't my characters. I think it was either Ray or Raven. I cannot remember which one colored this in. Here's a drawing of some wolves I did, or a wolf I did. Me watching this like a student, but it's very good work. Thank you. And thank you, Horsetooth. Website's gonna come out. Awesome, gang, trust. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'm in the process of making longer videos for Avalon. Oh, here's the sirens. Here's like a little preview of their species sheet. But I'm in the process of making longer videos, and I'm actually thinking about investing in, I think it's called like Vizimo or something. Basically, I pay a subscription to have like partial rights over a lot of songs and images and stock videos. That way so I can use it to like enhance my videos. Most of my videos is literally like speed paints that either I've done or Autumn has done. And then of course like a lot of the illustrations we've been working on through like the years and years and years. So the videos are getting longer and much, much better. Not the last video I released, but the one I released before it, that's called How to Draw Suffering Wolves. I'm actually very proud of that video. That video is the style that most of my videos will be in going forward. When you say the elemental control is like Avatar, do the characters move in specific ways? Do the characters move in specific ways, individual to each species and pack? And how do they activate and use their elemental powers? So it really depends on the species. Let me go ahead and say this. The reason why the wolves have powers to begin with is because they get their powers from the moon. And what you should know about the moon in Avalon is it used to not always be in the night sky. If you were to like look at the planet Fongard and we were just like take a big like zoomed out version of the whole planet and I was to cut it in half, like imagine yourself like looking at a planet that's cut in half and you can see like the magma core. The moon used to live in the spirit world, and in Avalon The spirit world is physically located just beneath the planet's crust, which is why I just brought up about looking at a diagram of a planet. And when the moon was brought from the spirit world into the natural world, that's actually what triggered all of the wolves to get their moon stripes and their elemental powers. So let me explain it like this. In Avalon, the moon is responsible for all elemental rhythms, not just of obviously the wolves have fire, water, earth, and electricity, but the moon is also the reason why rain falls from the sky, ocean tides move. It's the reason why the planet spins. It's the reason why lightning storms happen. It helps produce fire. Like the moon, it controls all elemental rhythms of the planet. And when it lived in the spirit world, which again, like I said, the spirit world is located just beneath the planet's crust, it's always been influenced it has always been influencing the natural world. But the moon suddenly being ejected from the spirit world and put in the night sky, that it was the light of the moon that actually triggered wolves and also big cats like the saber-toothed tigers and the frost leopards to get their moon stripes and to get their elemental powers. Because it used to be, fun fact, if you would go into the spirit world, you would get elemental powers inside of the spirit world. But now, because the moon is outside of the spirit world, now you get elemental powers in the natural world. But long time ago, before the moon was brought over, wolves used to not have any powers at all, except if they visited the spirit world. And now it's the other way around. So, you were asking about, how do they actually use their powers? I felt like I needed to bring up the moon because, that is the backbone of why they have powers to begin with. So let me pull up something. I have a diagram that actually helps explain this. Let me go inside of Wolf OC guidelines. I'm going to use the fire wolves as example, and the fire wolves, they are called the Flints, but let me pull this up real quick. So if we're talking about the fire wolves in particular, the way that they actually activate their power is through the movement of oxygen. So I'm showing these two diagrams because these are actual flint moves that are established in the world, and this is called fire breaking and tail chasing. So this is just an example of two distinct fire moves that they actually use, but there's a lot more than just this. So when the Flints are activating their fire, oftentimes they will be moving really quickly. Either they're going to be pushing air out of their mouth, or they're going to be trying to waft up air with their tail or with by moving their body. So Flints are very, very fast, and that is how they produce fire. So in this example, this is called tail chasing. The idea is that they're literally spinning in a circle really fast, like a little wolf tornado, and they are keeping the flame alive by spinning and kind of moving in direction of their opponent. This is the idea behind this is if a wolf is trying to bite you, you will keep them up. You will keep them suppressed with the continuous fire in their face. And this move called fire breaking, this is not an attack move, but this is actually a way of scaling down a mountain very quickly. And this is a little bit of where this is definitely a fantasy story. This is a little bit of where we push the boundaries of what's realistic versus what's fantasy. But the idea is while they are trying to go down these mountains really quickly, if you open your mouth, and like I said, fire comes from the movement of oxygen, that's how they activate it. If they use their dragon's breath, which is what you actually call it when they're shooting fire from their mouth, the idea is that the heat wave will help break their fall. It's a little bit of a fantastical exaggeration of what's really plausible, but I really like the idea of a wolf jumping down a mountain, and it opens its mouth like a dragon, and it's using its fire to break the fall. It just seemed really cool. So, it's not the most realistic, but it does make sense a little bit. And then when we're talking about these sirens, the way that their powers work is, okay, this is going to sound kind of weird. There's no such thing as aphasia in Avalon. And if you don't know what that means, aphasia is when people don't have the ability to see like mental pictures in their minds. And the reason why I bring this up, and the reason why I'm saying that all wolves in Avalon, or excuse me, no wolf has aphasia, is because they have to rely on having some mental image of the container in which they're going to fill the water. I'm sorry, I hope I'm able to explain this. But basically, when a siren is trying to move water and they're trying to, I don't know, like put water inside a bowl, they have to like imagine like the mental image of the water being held by a container and being physically moved. So like this is better explored in the book. It's just a little bit of an abstract concept, but you know how like when you are using your imagination and like if you can visualize the idea of you like water bending, just know that the wolves, they have to rely on their imagination to like fill the it's hard to explain. It's a little bit of an abstract concept, and I know I do a much better job of explaining this in the actual book, so I hope that makes sense. And the other species, they also have like their own rules as well for like the limits of their abilities, but a lot of this is really dependent on individuals, how well trained they are, and yeah. Sorry, I know I kind of stumbled through that. Let me read these comments real quick. And then Swift said, "Yo, I'm so excited to catch you live. I've been considering joining the Discord, but I don't think I'll be super active at the moment. But I'm making a cosplay for an event. I love the lore and world building." Well, if you do ever want to join the Discord, there's like no commitment involved. Like a lot of people just join just to like lurk and like watch for world building updates. So like if you ever did want to join the Discord, don't feel like you like have to stay or that you have to be active. Like you guys are more than welcome to just lurk and just sit in the shadows and wait for something to happen, because I know a lot of people like to do that. So don't feel any pressure like to like have to be active or anything like that. And so they're air fire bending. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Issa said, "Do you think when flint pups are first learning to use their abilities, they might accidentally cause sparks by wagging their tails in excitement for something?" That's so funny that you say that, because flint pups are actually endearingly called sparks. I don't know if I ever like shared this, but I do have this written down somewhere that originally the way that a young flint develops their fire powers is really similar to the life cycle of an actual like bonfire, where it starts out really small with just like, if you're imagining someone like trying to start a fire, it starts with just like a couple like smoldering, like a smokestack that turns into a spark that eventually turns into a bigger flame. And I used to have it established. I don't know if I changed this. I need to check my own lore. There's so much lore, I sometimes forget it. But I did have it established that their fire powers was very similar to like the life cycle of a fire, where, as a pup, the limits would be like, they can just do a couple puffs of smoke. But as an adult or a young adult, when they're in their prime, like their fire power is like, I don't know, maybe they can shoot like fire like up to 20 feet away, and it's just like this roaring, extremely powerful fire. And I also imagine like as they get older, it maybe becomes more difficult to use it. So, what do you think is your favorite bird of prey? I really like grackles. I don't know if they're a bird of prey, but they're very cute, and they're in the corvid family. And I really like the noises they make. I don't know if they're a bird of prey, but if I had to pick a bird of prey, I don't know. I do like golden eagles. They're very cool. Oh, there we go. I wanted the picture of them holding the antler. This is a wolf wedding, by the way. Or, like, as it's actually called in the story, this is a fang fast ceremony. Yeah, I do have a video explaining fang fasting, but I can also explain if anyone's interested. Kind of like rocket thrusters. Yes, exactly. That's kind of the idea. Horsetooth says, this is really cool. Hey, it's your world. You want something just because it's cool, you can. If it makes sense, it makes sense that the more experienced wolves could do that move. Yeah. You know, that's the thing with like creating a fantasy world is like you want it to be rooted in realism, but also you don't want it to be so rooted in realism that you never have like any room for fun or to really push the fantasy. And it used to be where I was a lot more of a, I was a little bit of, I don't know what the word is, but I was very strict on myself about making sure that everything made perfect sense. And like recently, I've been like, this is a fantasy story about talking wolves with magical powers that hunt dinosaurs. Like I can push the fantasy a little bit more. So I've kind of taken off the guardrails that I put around myself. So yeah. Do. And Jackson says, by the way, I'm sorry my questions are so weird. I just like to ask weird questions. Oh, no, no, no. Ask away. That like it's perfectly fine. Like Avalon is a pretty weird story with a very weird world. Like I enjoy the weird questions. It does not bother me at all. Besides, like I'm sure as I post more videos, like you guys will start to see a lot of the weirder aspects of Avalon and like especially like the fantasy things that I haven't really like given that much time to yet. So you're so cool. Kevin says, if you could get an art gift, what kind of art would you like? Ooh. Oh my goodness. I really like water. Anything with like turquoise water or like a marine animal. Like I'm really in my marine animal phase right now. It's the theme of this month, so you know, don't feel like you need to do anything. Like don't feel obligated, but if you want to, that's on the table. Sorry, I'm trying to find another little picture to go with what we're talking about. Saber-toothed tigers. I'm looking forward to learning about wolf divorce. I have that video fully recorded. It is a 30-minute long video, and I do talk about wolf divorce quite a lot in it. Fully recorded. The reason why it's taking so long is because at the beginning of the video, I created an animation, and it has over 45 panels in it, and every single panel it needs to be lined and colored. And I'm halfway done lining all the panels, and I'm going to get some help for coloring those panels. But after that point, the video should be done like, you know, the hardest part is getting the animation done. And I've already put so much work into it that like I'm at the point of no return. It's getting done. It's just taking longer because of that. But yeah, I have a very, very long explanation to wolf divorce. Wolf divorce, wolf church, wolf drugs, wolf everything. Where Brum's getting a ton of art. And Jackson also said, by the way, since you love water, I think you would love Alaskan Native American art. Oh, I'm sure I will. Funny you say that. I was actually on Etsy last week. I have a lot of paintings in my house, and I'm trying to get more paintings. But I was actually looking at a picture of, it was orca whales, like on the Alaskan coast. I don't know if it was done by an indigenous person, but I absolutely love the artwork. So I'm absolutely sure I would. If sirens imagine filling a sort of container with water to manipulate it, do earth wolves imagine a sort of scooping or pulling a large sum of dirt or rock from the ground and shape it into different shapes? Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I've never, like, it's funny you bring that up because I don't have anything written down that's like super established for the mechanics of how the Earth Wolf powers work. It's also one of those things that where I'm a little afraid to develop it too much because, I'm writing a story and I do really, really love world building and I love explaining things. But sometimes, like, if you explain something too much, you could actually write yourself into a corner. So I've not really given too much thought into, like, the Earth Wolves. Also, because, like, the main character of Avalon is actually a water wolf. So, like, I've given that a little bit more attention than I have, like, the Earth Wolves as far as, like, a storytelling perspective. But, since there are Earth Wolves and they are architects, meaning, like, if you're really good at using your earth powers and you can create a really nice den or even like a platform or a sculpture, it does make sense that they would have like that skill because it does require like a lot of precision if you are like making anything especially something larger. So yeah, I would say it works mechanically the same, and that also makes sense because like water wolves. Let me actually pull up a picture of I'll pull up the Southern Frost. They're pretty cool. The water wolves, uh, they can freeze the water as well, and then, they can manipulate ice structures. Oh my god, the sirens are going off. I hate 4th of July. Like, I mean, I love 4th of July, but I hate fireworks because, like, it just causes so much problems with fires and people getting injured and animals getting lost and animals getting hurt. I just, oh my god. 4th of July, like always, is just like my least favorite holiday. Love America, but I just do not love fireworks. Anyway. OMG Wolf Church. Here, let me plug in my iPad real quick. Ugh. Alright, sorry. The camera's going everywhere. What's the relationship between the High Guard and the Tigers? Very interesting you asked that. So, in Avalon, the wolves have very rigid structures. The packs all have their the packs all have their established territories and a way of life that is pretty concrete. They have their four rings. They have the alpha, the first fang, their betas, and the omega, and then they have their monthly meetings where the alphas all go, and there is good order and counsel with the wolf packs. And the felines, the saber-toothed tigers, as well as the frost leopards, they do not have rigid structures. It's very common for a saber-toothed tiger to travel to band to band to band, and band is just what you call like a group of tigers. It's very common for them to like have to go through like multiple family units throughout their lives. Most tigers will only have like one mate, or they will mate for life. But it's also perfectly acceptable to be in like a polyamorous relationship, or to even be in a relationship with a wolf, which is something that is so scrutinized and even illegal in Avalon. Like, that is not something that the wolves or like the Alpha Council as a whole condones. So there's a lot of political tension between the felines of Avalon and the wolves, but they're able to get along because the wolves, they have control over most of the territory in Avalon. Like, if we're to look at a map of Avalon, let me pull it up. If we're to look at a map of Avalon, you could really divide it into like its northern sphere and the southern Avalon territories. But this mountain range, called the Frost Alps, this is really a marker that divides the wolf territories from the feline territories. Legally, this region up here, this is owned by the Alpha Council, like in writing or in hieroglyphics, whatever you call it, whatever the wolves have. But this is owned by the Alpha Council, but realistically, the Alpha Council, the Alpha Council meeting place is right here. they do not have the manpower to manage the tundra. It's impossible, and they're also so outnumbered by the felines. A lot of times they just turn a blind eye to whatever happens in Tantoria. The High Guard, which if you were in the stream earlier, I mentioned that is like the little police force of Avalon. They are only really patrolling in the lower territories. Let me pull up here. I want to pull up another picture of the High Guard because I talked about the High Guard a lot, but I've not shown them. All right. Sorry. Pulling them up now. There they are. Not the Silver Star. Not the Alpha Instructor. Not the Game Warden. Not the PayPal. There we go. There's the High Guard. And then Eilish Jack said, I wanted to ask this, and it's kind of cringe, but I want to know, do saber-tooth and leopards have a hybrid of the two? Yes. Okay, interesting thing about the felines of Avalon. Saber-tooth tigers, leopards, and lions are capable of interbreeding with each other. And there's actually a lore explanation to that. I believe the lore explanation is actually posted on my YouTube. But long story short, in the very beginning, like the beginning of creation of Avalon, felines were like its own species. Like a feline had a lion's mane, a leopard's tail, and saber fangs. Like it was just one glorious big cat. But in the creation story, the other predator gods, Amarok, Shir-Babala, Komakara, they were jealous of the feline, and they didn't think it was fair that feline should have a golden mane, a luxurious tail, and saber fangs. So the feline was actually divided into the three species of lion, leopard, and tiger, and that's why there's three different species of three different species of feline. So they are actually capable of interbreeding with each other, but the offspring, I actually have a picture of the offspring. Sorry, going through my Discord server. The offspring can only have one gift from Fodway. So long story short, I mentioned the lion's mane, the leopard's tail, and the saber fangs. When a frost leopard and a tiger mate with each other, the offspring can only have one of the gifts. So they can either have like a long tail or saber fangs, but they can't have both because those are considered like the holy gifts from Fodway, their god. So, and you know, as the creation story says, the felines, they can't have all their gifts at once because it makes the other predator gods jealous. So they can only have one at a time. I hope that makes sense. I'm actually in the process of coming out with the creation story in a cinematic telling with a fully illustrated version. Anyway, it'll happen at some time. I'm getting another artist, and I've been commissioning them for a couple months now, and they're in the process of helping me out with that. So, this is weird, but do packs have their own official flags, kind of like countries do? Kind of. We're in the process of that. Actually, I have something to show you. I actually have something to show you. And if you're in this live stream, you get a sneak peek at the Boosters Lounge. We're in the process of actually creating some flags for Avalon. This isn't for a wolf pack. This is actually for one of the religions called Fanmor. So here's a little sneak peek of how that is turning out right now. So this will be a flag for Avalon. So there's going to be the Fanmor, the Fangmir, and then the Alpha Council symbol. And for right now, this is also, like, we're literally doing so much retconning right now. And retconning, that's just what you call it when someone came out with established lore, and then they realize, oh my god, this could be better, or I want to change this, and then the person changes things. These symbols that you see right here, these have been like the official like symbols for the packs, but we're in the process of changing that right now. And we want it to look a little bit more Paleolithic. Like it does look cool. Like I don't hate the way that looks, or that, but we want it to. We're kind of trying to lean more into the Paleolithic, caveman style like illustration. So a couple of changes happening there. How are loner wolves usually viewed? I was thinking of making my Flint OC a wandering loner who just wants to explore the world, but I'm unsure of how loner wolves are treated throughout the territories. Let me pull up an illustration. So, there's like in canon Avalon, there's really no such thing as a lone wolf. Uh, oh my god, I'm so sorry, but look at that. Sorry, kitty cam. Oh my goodness. Your babies. Okay. Sorry, let me continue. I just looked over and I saw my cats being really cute. I rescued babies. Okay. So, in canon Avalon, there really isn't no such thing as a lone wolf, because all of the territories. Let me pull out on the map real quick. All of the territories have their established boundaries, and there's just really no place for a lone wolf to go. And it's really hard to, like, you can't really sneak throughout territories, uh, because you can't see it in, like, the map illustration, but around the borders of every single territory, there is something called the post. And the post, they are essentially like these giant rock structures that is the official scent marking areas for each wolf. And actually, if you've ever seen like power lines that are being cut through like a forest or a field, you know how they'll like clear out the whole like area and it'll just be like flat land, or not flat land, but it'll just be like bush hogged land, meaning there's like no trees in the area. Around the borders of every single territory, they have cut lanes for travel, and also for the official like scent marking post. And these borders are actually all public land, so like anyone can travel in between territories. But because the borders are open territory and it's public for anyone to walk within those lanes, you're really not going to be able to sneak past anyone because there's so much traffic between territories, and you can't like go from this point to this point without crossing one of those open borders. So it's really like not possible. Although there is public land in Avalon, like it's called the Alfang territory, and if you want to, you can visit the public land and you can go hunting, and you could even like set up a little den there. However, the Alfang territory is patrolled by Avalon's game wardens, and for you to hunt on the public land, you have to have a hunting tag from a game warden. And I will pull up a picture of a game warden real quick so I can show you guys what they actually like look like. So here's the game warden. So, if you're trying to hunt in the Alfang territory, every single time you go to take down a reindeer or an elk, you have to have an approved hunting tag, which the hunting tags are literally in the form of a official feather. You have to have that, and you have to also report your harvest to the game warden because, typically it is the role of an alpha, being the steward of their territory. They're typically the ones that are keeping track of like herd populations and reporting to the alpha council every single month or two what's the activity of the herd in my area. So like the alphas, as the steward of their territories, they're kind of filling in the duty of like a little game warden, kind of within their own territory. So like it's very important that the game wardens are managing the public territories, or else you would just have chaos and overhunting and poaching. So I hope that makes sense. And hello, my young. No, they don't have journals, but they do have cave paintings that they could like draw things on. Can a leopard saber litter have a tiger tail and Leo saber? No, I want to say the answer is no. I think so. You know how like there's like ligers and there's a couple other like crosses between like different types of big cats. You know how like a lot of the genetic traits of the offspring are determined by, was the father a lion or was the father a tiger? You know how like in real life like there's a difference between a liger and what's the other kind called? Anyway, like you'll have a different offspring depending on if the father was a tiger or if the father was a leopard. I actually like if you want to know more information on that, you can actually go to Feline OC guidelines, and all the information is actually there. Let me click on it. So you go to Feline OC guidelines, and you can click on whatever you're interested in. You want to learn about the Leo saber. Yeah. I always like I have to reference like the text for them because I will get confused. Uh, Crosses between frost leopards and tigers, it's not really common because tigers and frost leopards, they're both felines, but they do have pretty different lifestyles. The tigers are very very social, and the frost leopards, they're mostly solitary. They live up in the frost Alps, and they kind of have their own little stake of land. So it's very unusual for them to become a mated couple, just because I don't think a frost leopard, at least most frost leopards, I can't say it for everyone, I don't think most of them would ever really be happy living the highly social life of a tiger. So it's more common for tigers to take Leo howl mates, a Leo howl being like a wolf who leaves their pack to become the mate of a tiger, or to just live in a tiger pack, which is illegal, by the way. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, you could get in trouble with the Alpha Council. But, it's actually more common for, like, tigers to take wolf mates. They can't reproduce with each other. Let me just make that clear. Like, there is no such thing as a wolf saber-tooth tiger hybrid. That's not a thing in Avalon. But they will still be, like, a couple, and, like, there is also adoption. Like, that's also a plausible thing that could happen. So based on the video, does cardinal have cultural relevance to the tigers? It's funny you say that about cardinals. We're talking about cardinals, like the red bird, correct? It's so funny you mentioned that because in Avalon there is something called spirit guides, and spirit guides normally take the form of a raven. I can't say too much about it, but there's actually a whole segment about the importance of cardinals in the story. I've never talked about it. It doesn't even appear in any world building videos, nor do I have plans on making it a world building thing. But cardinals are actually really important in the main story of Avalon. Funny you mentioned that. I can't really talk about it because it's not really something that I planned on like revealing, but if you are at all superstitious about like the appearance of like seeing a cardinal in real life, I grew up. I'm from like the Appalachian area, like in North Carolina. So I grew up with the belief that if you see a cardinal, it's could be a sign of like God telling you that your loved one that has passed away is okay, or it's like a sign of like your deceased person in your family. So like that's really all I can say about that. That's like the real life relevance of a cardinal, like that I grew up with. But I did plan on doing some homage, like paying homage to that part of like my beliefs in the story. But I don't want to talk about it yet because it's not something that I have written down for the world building, but I do have it for the story. Okay. Nice flag. When do you think the book will come out roughly? I have no timeline. I really haven't been able to work on it lately because I've there's a lot of milestones I wanted to make with the Discord server. Like we need to put the roleplay channels back up, and I wanted to do that right. So that needed to happen, and I trying to think of how to put this. Like off the top of my head, I have like a list of a lot of different things that I need to do. And for the last few months, unfortunately, like I haven't really been able to like write the book all that much recently, because I wanted to get these milestones done with the Discord and also for like the role playing guide to not the role playing guide, excuse me, the world building guide. But it's been very much on my heart lately of, oh my God, I need to lock in and start working on the book again because I was actually making a lot of progress for a couple of months. But I recently, I can only do so many things at once. Every single illustration you see like on the page was done by someone, either by me or by Autumn or by someone me or her paid money to do. But it'll come out when it comes out. I don't want to rush it. Like, I want to be... Unfortunately, like, I can't make videos, updates, the things I want to do on Discord, and, you know, do all the other things at the same time. So, here recently, it's kind of taken a back burner. And my plan is... After we release the Frost Leopards, which is the next thing that's coming out after the roleplay channels, after that is released, I'm taking another big step back from Discord just so I can focus back on the story. But that is like the last big thing that we wanted to do. We wanted to get the roleplay channels back up. We wanted to create the Merchants Guild, and we need to do the Frost Leopards. And that is like the final, like big, like nail in the coffin that will make me feel like I am good to jump straight back into the book. So, sorry, I know that's not the answer you wanted, and I'm not going to give a timeline because, like, I don't want to put that pressure on myself. I really wish I hadn't talked about, like, making a book so early, but, you know, the cat's already out of the bag. Like, I've already said, like, it's a thing that's happening, so I kind of created that pressure myself. But, you know, in the meantime, I will be supplementing with creating world building videos, and there is a Discord server full of information and ways you can interact. So, like, I know it's going to take a while, and it's probably going to take a long time, but I hope in the meantime you can enjoy the other things that we have released. Where's the Snow Wolves? Here is the Greater Tundra Frost. Let me show you him. I guess you would consider these the Snow Wolves. And also, this guy is a Southern Frost. So they're really called the Frost Wolves. And thank you, my young kitty Cam. What is you forage a hunting feather? Like, how do you get one that looks like it but isn't? Oh, you mean like... Could you fool a game warden by pretending that you, like, have a feather that's not really a game warden hunting feather, but, like, you're pretending that it is? That's not really something that's possible. I don't have the notes in front of me, but I believe that the way that the game wardens notarize their hunting feathers is there's some type of scent that they put inside of it. I don't remember, like, what exactly the scent was, but they seal it with, like, beeswax. So, like, they actually notarize the feathers and this, like, official, like, scent signature that you can only get from, like, the game warden headquarters, and they seal it in the feathers. So, like, they have, like, a way of verifying which feather is which. You can't really, like, just pluck a feather from a raven and say, oh, I have a hunting tag. It has to be, like, a notarized, sealed with beeswax feather from a official operator. So it's not really something, like, you're not going to fool anyone if you try to, like, play and like try to pass something off and forge a feather, it's not going to work. They already figured out a way. Game wardens don't play around. Tygon, yes, that was the word I was looking for earlier. Thank you. May I speak to the alpha male snow wolf? I mean, here's a frost wolf for you. 2 questions. Are there eagles in Avalon? And I'm not expecting you to tell me the species since I know y'all are going to have a size chart coming out soon and I can submit a custom Avalon flag. There's not an eagle per se, but when the roleplay channels come out, there is a very, very close thing to an eagle that is coming out. So I can't say anything else because it is a surprise, but there's a very close equivalent. But it's called a raven, but this type of raven has a lot more eagle characteristics than the others. I have so many questions. Just curious, how there are templates in the shop on the server. Can I... You're looking for a template? You can go to, I'm pretty sure you can just, click. If you go to, scroll all the way to the bottom in Discord, you click on whichever one you're interested in, and then there's a base template that you can use. So if that's what you were referring to, these are publicly available for anyone and everyone if you want to, have, a template for your wolf. So you can absolutely use these. And if you're looking for a base, we have some of those in the trading post. So let me scroll to the trading post. Sorry, let me find a minute. So there's a couple different bases in the trading post, and we do have a pay hip. If you're okay with spending money, we do have official bases like that. But these are free; they don't require money. So you could have even a really big base like this with a whole bunch of different wolfers, and you can pick the background you want. We have beach, tundra, and mountain. While these are free, we would if you are interested in getting something like this, you would earn it with moonstones. And I have a couple videos that actually explain the in-server currency that we use. But basically, the more you draw, the more points you can get. And these cost different points, or moonstones is our currency. So if you draw, or if you write, or this month in July, if you come into the Discord server and you stream a marine animal documentary, you can actually get I believe it's 10 moonstones if you are streaming an animal documentary or a marine animal documentary this month. So there's a couple different ways you can earn points if you're interested at all in getting any of these bases. And here's a wolf base. Here's actually a really good one. So sorry, not trying to advertise, but since you were wondering. There's been progression to the story, right? I get you're a full-time artist, just wondering. Yeah, there's been a lot of progression. I mean, it's taking longer than I thought it would, and I like I said, I did have to take a pretty long break for these last couple months because I have to get these milestones done before I can feel comfortable to start writing again. But I at the beginning of the year, I was actually making really good progress with the story, but it's hard to be at 2 places at once, and I'm kind of stretching myself a little bit thin with the Discord, being a full-time artist, making YouTube videos, and there's a website for Avalon that has all this world building stuff. So I'm kind of I'm kind of pushing myself thin a little bit, and just to show a little bit of the world building stuff that's happening right now with the website. It is very detailed because me and Autumn are a little bit of a perfectionist. So this is all like locked right now. So very thorough species thing. There's even like audio that you can like. There's audio clips, wolves, animals, size chart. So there's a lot going on. I mean, the other books planning wise. I'm glad you're excited for the Fang Fast ceremony. When will the website be available? We're going to publish the website publicly with the publication of the very first book. Some of the world building stuff does get a little bit into spoiler territory depending on like how much you look into it. So that's also a reason why we're kind of hesitating. Another reason is just I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. Like, this is just me, like from like a marketing perspective of someone, like I am an author who is going to be coming out with my debut book. If I was to like publicly release this website right now, I feel like it'd get a lot of excitement the moment it's dropped. But if after everyone has, seen the website and scrolled through everything and read all the information there is to be seen, the next question is, so when's the book coming out? And I know right now, like it's definitely going to take me a couple years, just based on how long it's taken me and me being an absolute perfectionist and needing to find literary agents. I know that there would be a very long gap between, like, hypothetically, if I release this website right now, it would take so long for the book to come out. And I don't think it would make much sense from like a marketing point of view for me to just suddenly drop this website, because this website is like the best marketing I have for the book. And this is something that I think is going to do a lot of good for helping with actual sales of book one. So I don't want to, this one page is actually available, but like the world building stuff isn't available right now. So I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse and miss out on potentially the best thing I have for marketing book one. So that's kind of the reason why like we've not published it before. Or we actually did publish it a long time ago, but realized there's so much work that needs to be done that we couldn't even keep it up. But I hope that makes sense. I remember the first website when the server was just made, so it's nice to see it's polished. Oh yeah, it looks so much better now. Yeah, we did originally release it, and like I said, it was so not ready to be released, and then recently we had that revelation of like there's not a point in releasing it before the book's actually out. I'm really excited to make my idea is that she loves to explore and has a deep love and passion for wildlife. Oh, I already know where she will live. It's a pretty weird place, but yeah. Sweet. Yeah, it's really fun to make OCs. I also, we did create a personality quiz. So I know a lot of people really enjoyed, clicking through the personality quiz to see what species they got. And my young said, how do the wolves get ready for the Fang Fast ceremony? I mean, it really depends on the wolf. Obviously, you want to groom your fur and look your best, so, whatever you'd have to do that. But during the Fang Fast ceremony, there's actually something called the Den Exchange, which is when the male and female will present each other with a gift. And if you're a male, you can present your mate with a rack of antlers or with a bone. And if you're a female, typically, you can choose to present your mate with a branch of flowers, a branch of berries, or an evergreen branch. So you would go out and you would find those items before the actual Fang Fast ceremony. And the idea behind those things is they're very symbolic of your relationship and your connection to your partner. So, if if you're a male wolf and like you're presenting your she wolf with like antlers, that's you saying I will protect you. And if you bring her a bone, that's you saying like I will provide for you. Like we're gonna be hunting good. Um, and for the she wolves, the flowers is symbolic of that is a promise to bring pups. The berries is a promise to bring happiness, and the evergreen branch is a promise that her love will endure any hardship. So like, it really depends on the wolf. Like you need to obviously know your partner very well, but you need to get those preparations and find those appropriate items before the day. So that's something that you would have to do. By the way, about the new Raven you said is coming soon. Just curious, is it going to be purchasable in the trading post, or is it going to be like an in-universe unattainable animal? It's going to be in the trading post. Um, I'm releasing some information about it, but like, I don't want to like lead you the wrong way. I don't have like the illustrations ready right now. I just have like one like concept image, and you guys will learn about its existence very soon, but I don't have a date for when it will come out to the trading post, but it is literally on the list. It is going to happen. And then don't forget to take time for yourself when you can. It's important to rest and step away and come back with refreshed eyes to a project. Definitely. Yeah, I like taking a good creative break. Speaking of, I just remembered I created ice cream earlier. That was a really weird sentence. I made ice cream earlier. So it's been in the freezer for a little bit. And I want to go eat that because I'm starting to lose my voice because I've been yapping up a storm over here. All right. Well, I will probably do another stream sometime this week, but it was really good to talk to you guys. And yeah, join the Discord if you want to stay updated on lore and what's going on over there. All right. Boy.